Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Silver Spartan podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Andrew Nichols, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I'm really passionate about. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert, but I do spend a lot of my time studying this topic. And so I want to talk about the importance of nutrition and diet in sobriety. And it's important whether you're sober or not, but I'm going to be talking specifically towards why I think it's important in sobriety and how it's helped me. So as far as nutrition and diet, like you're going to hear all kinds of different stuff. You're going to say like, oh, the vegan diet's the best. Oh, the carnivore diet's the best. Oh, you got to eat this, you got to eat that, stuff like that. You're going to hear all kinds of stuff on the different ends of the spectrum. And what I've come to find and I've spent years and years and years studying diet, trying different diets. I've done a plant-based, I've done a more meat-based, which is what I'm on now. I call it probably a ketovore. So I'm super low carb. I pretty much eat mostly all just meat. But then that took a long time to come to that because I had to try a bunch of other things before I ended up coming onto this, and I had to study a lot and all that kind of thing. But with that being said, I do know people who are eating a vegan diet that are thriving on that, and that works for them. So the main thing to just consider here is you're going to have to test different things out with your diet and what works for you, because you'll hear people saying that there's like only this diet's going to work. Oh, and they're going to reference all these placebo, double blind, controlled trials and stuff like that. But then you got to also remember that some of these studies, the funding that goes into them, and I don't want to get into talking about all the stuff that I think about the industry and how corrupt it is. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to do your own research and do your own testing with what works for you. Because like part of my journey is I was in a really bad situation and I started taking a lot of medications that were prescribed by doctors, and they didn't really talk much about diet. And the diet they told me to do, I did. And I just was getting worse and worse and worse. And they were putting me on more and more medications. So that kind of sparked me into action. Like, hey, I got to figure this out. So I started following different people that had different ideas around diet and medications I was taking. So I was taking stuff for severe heartburn. If you've been listening to this for quite some time, I've talked about that a little bit. And so like when you're taking in information, you don't want to take information from somebody that's not in a position that that you want to kind of follow, right? So some of the doctors that I was working with my health, they weren't an image of the kind of health that I wanted. Like they were overweight themselves, and they just seemed like they weren't a spitting image of health. But then they were talking to me about what I should be eating and what I should be doing for my health, right? So it's just like I wouldn't go to a personal trainer who was fat and overweight either. And then when you start thinking about doctors, like how they're trained, most of their training is geared towards like drugs and stuff like that. Because like basically, in my opinion, most of them or all of them are basically big pharma salesmen who are going to push drugs. Because if you think about it, like here in Canada, the way it goes is you go into a doctor and like you tell them your symptoms and pretty much they just prescribe you something and send you on your way and try to get you out the door as quick as possible. You'll find the odd doctor that actually does more testing and like stuff like that. I'm not going to say they're all bad, anything like that, but I have had a lot of instances where they don't do any testing at all. You have to kind of twist their arm to get them to do anything. And they just want to give you a prescription drug and send you out the door. Right. So for my heartburn, I was told I would always need to be taking medication. And if I wanted to fix it, I'd have to do a major surgery. But what I did instead, I just started eating low carb, basically, and got all the junk food out of my diet. So that brings me to another thing I'm going to talk about. So when you do go down the journey of diet, especially with sobriety, like, again, this is something I talk about. It's when you're going down the path of sobriety, you want to reduce the friction in any way you can. So if you're filling your body with a better fuel, well, that's what food is. It's to fuel your body. And if you're eating in a better way, it's going to be a lot easier because if you're feeling good, it's like getting sober is going to be that much easier for you, right? So you're going to want to pay attention what you're putting in your body and what you're fueling yourself, because you are what you eat, like literally. Like, so I'd say if you're getting started, and if say like you haven't been sober, you're just getting sober yourself. I know back when I was first getting sober, and then especially when you're younger, you're able to eat uh more shitty food and still like feel pretty decent, just because you're young, you're resilient, stuff like that. But what I've noticed is as you get older and you eat shitty food, you really feel it. So when I first got sober, I was 23, so I was still young. But at that time, I didn't really pay too much attention to what I was eating. I just pretty much ate what I wanted to eat. So I would eat the pizza, I would eat the French fries, the fast food, the ice cream, candy, all that kind of junk, right? So um, what I would recommend, and if I could go back and tell my younger self, I would just start at something very simple. And this is something that's going to work for everyone. It's you get rid of the processed junk food that you're eating, and you limit sugar as much as possible. So if you just do those two things and just straight up eat whole foods, whether you're eating vegetables or meat or anything like that, then you're going to be in a super good situation. And I think that's the lever that you can pull that you'll get the most benefit from in the shortest amount of time. So if you're not exactly sure what whole foods are, it's something that with one ingredient, like a steak's a steak, a carrot's a carrot, like stuff like that. So when you're in the grocery store, typically in the middle is going to be all the packaged foods that are in like boxes and like wrapped in plastic and all that kind of thing. So if you're going to be eating uh, all whole foods, you're going to want to shop on the outside perimeter of the grocery store. So if you go in the grocery store, usually to the right, you'll have your vegetables, all that kind of stuff. And then you'll go around to the back and you'll have all your like dairy, your milk, your yogurt, all that kind of stuff. And as you go around, there'll be meat on the other side. This is kind of how my grocery store is laid out. And then you'll have your meat over there. And that's pretty much what it is. It's like, because if you think about it, and I study marketing as well. So what grocery stores do is they put all that stuff that's like perishable and stuff like that in the back of the store. So it makes you walk through the whole store. So, you usually go into a grocery store and it's like you go for the one thing. Oh, I'm just going to get a jug of milk. But then you walk through the store and you see other things like, maybe I'll get this. Like you go in there hungry, and then you see all these snacks and stuff like that. And you just buy other stuff that you didn't even go there for, right? So they do that purposely because you're going to be getting stuff like milk or like meat or vegetables and stuff like that, because it goes bad, right? And that's stuff you're going to continuously be getting. So they have all this other stuff in the way. And like even at by the tails and stuff like that, they have that quick little easy like chocolate bars and stuff like that. And they just do it purposely. That's marketing. They make more sales that way, right? Because they have a lot of data to show what works. So that's what they do. They're a business. They want to make a lot of money. So shop around the outside of the grocery store. That's the best thing you can do. Just eat those whole foods. So the biggest thing to remember though is like sugar. Just think about like when you're eating, how you feel after you eat the food. So like once you start eating whole foods and stuff like this, you'll probably like, no one's perfect. Like I still every now and again go back and I have some like a chocolate bar or something like that. But now I'm really like in tune to how I feel. So when I go out and have the chocolate bar or something like that, compared to when I'm just eating all whole foods, then I really feel how shitty I feel after eating something like that. Because like if you think about what sugar is, it's you eat sugar and then you'll get a little bit of a sugar rush, but it burns off really quickly, and then you're just like, but then if you eat like a steak or something, you'll have that energy slow burn throughout the day, right? So I think that's super important. And like another thing that I kind of find that helped me, and then this like, because here in Canada, the way our bread and pastas and stuff like that is made, it's not like, it just, for me, it just made me sick, and it made me feel disgusting. And one of the things that made me feel the best was like getting rid of the breads and the pastas and all that kind of stuff. It just it just made me feel sick, right? So I just got rid of that. And another thing that's really important, and like you're gonna want to do your own research on this. Like, don't just listen to me, because I've done so much of my own research, right? And I was like hopping back and forth with different ways of eating, right? So, but I'm a big believer in doing your own research and like finding things out for yourself. Like, and it's so messed up because like right now, it's like almost demonized that like, oh, you do your own research. Like, it's like you don't need to be an expert to do your own research. Like, people listen to doctors for nutrition advice, and they pretty much get no training when they're going to school. So I literally have more training than a doctor for nutrition, which is sad. I think doctors should be have more training like that. But and again, if you go and actually do the research and find out like why they're trained, what they're trained, then and the school industry and stuff like that. But anyways, I don't want to get into that. Another thing to eliminate from your diet, and I would do this right away, is anything with seed or vegetable oils, like the canola oil, all that kind of stuff. Because like that's like they're pretty much just poison. And again, go look into it, but they're like it's terrible. So that's what I would do. To get the best results is just go out there and start eating whole foods. But I definitely want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Like, have you found what works for you? Because like for me, it's just a big experiment, and it's gonna be an experiment for everyone. Because like I said, I know people that eat all kinds of different ways, and it's just it's not a health, fitness, anything like that. It's not a one size fits all, right? And a lot of people will try to say that it is, but it's not. And the real people will tell you that, right? So anyways, that's pretty much all I got to say about that right now. But another thing I kind of wanted to bring up too, and I was talking about this, I think, a little bit on my last podcast, is I'm starting a sobriety group for men on a platform called Skool. And so I'm putting a group together with a bunch of men who are trying to get sober and stay sober. So if you're listening to this and you're struggling, maybe you don't know where to start, anything like that, just I'll have the link to the group in the show notes. So just go check it out. Like, feel free to join. It's free. You don't need to pay anything. But I'm getting a bunch of people. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that have a bunch of time sober in there. And then if you're new, then you can come in there and you can learn from the people who have experience. And then I'm going to start doing calls, like kind of relate them to something like a meeting or whatever. And then we can all get together and talk about what's working for us and be able to like support each other and make sure that like we're not falling back into the old bad habits that we used to, right? So that's just one of the projects that I'm working on. And I think that because like when I looking back at when I first got sober, like having people that were doing the same thing I was super, super powerful. So I just wanted to create this and be able to help as many people as I could. So if that's interesting to you, just like I said, check it out and just introduce yourself into the group. And we'd love to have you because I want to make this the biggest group on the platform Skool. I don't know if you know the platform. It's a newer platform. It's been around for a little while. But one of the guys that I follow for like marketing and sales and stuff like that, his name is Alex Hormozy. He kind of partnered up with another guy named Sam Ovens, and it's like pretty much an educational platform. So I'll also have like different trainings and stuff in there. So I'm going to have my 14-day Kickstart to Sobriety guide in there as well. That's, again, it's completely free that you can work through. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you. And then just let me know in the comments, like, are you eating whole foods? Like, are you eating all plants? Are you eating more meat? Like, what's worked for you? Like, I want to get some feedback here and see what other people are doing. So anyways, that is the episode for today, and I will see you guys next week.